What if you could reshape the very heart of a city? Well, that is the multi-billion-dollar question facing St. Petersburg right now, with its historic gas plant district. And this isn't just about new buildings, it's about defining a city's entire future, and we're about to break down exactly what's at stake. So what you're looking at here is the grand vision for 86 acres of city-owned land. With a proposed price tag of nearly $7 billion, the scale of this thing is just immense. The stakes for the city, they really could not be higher. I mean, that's a massive question, right? But today, we're going to give you the tools to help answer it, because this is so much more than just a real estate deal. It's a really complex puzzle of history, community, and some huge financial trade-offs. So, how do we make sense of it all? Well, we're going to break it down step by step so you can analyze this whole project like an expert. Here's our game plan. City leaders are calling this a generational inflection point, which is a fancy way of saying it's an incredibly rare chance to develop a huge single piece of downtown land. The current vision comes from a team called Ark, Ellis & Horris, and we're about to dig into their proposal. But to understand the future, you have to know the past. This area was once a vibrant Black community, the gas plant neighborhood. It was displaced back in the 1980s to build a stadium. And that history is exactly why a core objective of this project is what's called restorative justice, with specific promises for things like affordable housing, local jobs, and a new home for the Woodson African American Museum. All right, let's get into the numbers. This is where things get really, really interesting. There's this huge gap between what small pieces of downtown land sell for and the price being talked about for this massive site. We're about to find out exactly why. Okay, so to get our bearings, take a look at these recent sales of prime downtown land. You can see prices range from about $6.5 to over $14 million per acre for these small lots. But one sale just completely blows the others out of the water. Yup, that's the outlier you see, the Art House luxury condo site, which sold for a staggering $51 million per acre. This is a true trophy property, right in the heart of downtown, and it represents the absolute peak value for land in the city. And that brings us to the central mystery here. How can a tiny half-acre lot be worth $51 million an acre, while the valuation for a massive 86-acre site isn't even in the same ballpark? It seems totally counterintuitive, I know, but there's actually a very clear economic reason. The difference is scale. Think of it like this. A small parcel is like a move-in ready house. It's shovel-ready and it just plugs right into the existing city grid. Easy. But buying 86 acres? That's like buying raw, undeveloped land. The developer basically has to act like a mini government. They have to build all the roads, the sewers, and the parks from absolute scratch before they can even think about building up. And that brings us to a really key concept, residual land value. This is how developers value massive projects. They figure out all the potential revenue, all the money they could make. Then they subtract all the costs, construction, that new infrastructure we just mentioned, public benefits, and of course their own profit. Whatever is left over, that's what they can actually afford to pay for the land. So with that framework in mind, let's decode the actual deal that's on the table from the Ark, Ellis & Horris team for the gas plant district. The headline number in the proposal is a purchase price of $202 million. Now, compared to that $51 million per acre benchmark, this seems low. But as we've learned, the headline number almost never tells the whole story. And here's why that headline number can be a little misleading. The developer's $202 million commitment is broken down. So $140 million is the net value for the land, but it also includes a $50 million contribution for community benefits and another $12 million to help demolish the old stadium. These are real costs that they are taking on. And this rendering gives you a little glimpse of the ultimate goal. I mean, the land purchase is just the first step. The developer's total investment is projected to be over $6.8 billion, with the vast majority of that going into the vertical construction of an entirely new neighborhood. But for a project of this scale, the developer's investment is only half the equation. To get the complete picture, we also need to open up the public side of the ledger and track every single dollar of taxpayer value going into the deal. So the public invests in several ways. There's a land discount compared to a previous appraisal. The city has also discussed contributing $130 million through bonds, basically a loan to be paid back over time to help fund that public infrastructure. Then there are other tools like tax abatements, which are temporary tax breaks, and other financial guarantees. It's a significant public commitment to make the project happen. It's really important to remember that a direct sale to a single master developer isn't the city's only option. There are other ways to structure a deal of this magnitude, and each one has its own set of risks and rewards. Here are the three main models. The current proposal is a master developer sale. It prioritizes speed and certainty, but it means the city has to give up a lot of control. The second model, phased disposition, lets the city act as the master planner, maximizing public control and value over time, but it's a much slower, more complex process. And the third option, a ground lease, essentially turns the city into a landlord, creating a steady revenue stream for generations, but sacrificing that large upfront payment. And no matter which financial model is chosen, the goal is the same: to transform this huge expanse of parking lots into places where people can connect, creating a true community hub for everyone in St. Petersburg. So, with all this information, what are the core questions and the big trade-offs that the city and its citizens have to consider right now? It really boils down to these strategic choices. Do you prioritize the speed and certainty of a single developer or the long-term control of a phased approach? Do you want a large upfront cash payment or a steady revenue stream for generations? And how much risk is the public willing to bear to capture more of the financial upside? There is no single right answer here. And in the end, behind all the spreadsheets and the financial models, this quote reminds us what the ultimate goal is. This massive undertaking isn't just about return on investment. It's about building a place for people to live, work, and connect. And that leaves us with the final question for St. Petersburg's leaders and residents. Having unpacked the numbers and the trade-offs, is this specific proposal the best possible path to honor the past while building a prosperous and equitable future for the next generation? That's the multi-billion-dollar question they now have to answer.